Okay.
All right, and then this.
Welcome to Photography Chat with Merlin. Photography Chat with Merlin.
Welcome to another episode of the Photography Chat. We got John Tyson with us here today, and this is, what are we on? Episode 13, Season 3. Thanks for coming out, John.
My pleasure to be here.
You want to take a quick second to tell the folks a little bit about you?
For sure. So my name is John Tyson, and I got into film back in 2019, actually on the recommendation of the local camera shop owner here in Ottawa. And ever since then, I've just been addicted, just trying new things. Started off a lot with color, and recently, I would say, like October forward, I started realizing the benefits of black and white and learning how to get the blacks black and the whites white. And I've been falling in love with it ever since. So now stage, I'm kind of learning how to develop at home, scan at home, and stuff like that. And I'm hoping to move towards darkroom within the next few months as well. So
that's cool.
My photography exploration. Yeah.
Is there like a community darkroom in Ottawa then, or you have to set up your own?
Community one yet. There is an art school here for photography, and they do offer some courses for darkroom. So I'm hoping to sign up for the course in the spring session. But I did acquire the materials to set one up here at home. It's just I haven't quite gotten around to figuring out how to black out the windows and the door for the one room I have. But yeah, I'm hoping to do it soon. And just so that's me.
Nice. So what kind of got you started with it? Like, what was the like sort of core experience that pulled you into the dark side of photography?
Well, like I said, so I did have like a Sony A6000. A lot of people, who like photography, that's the first one you see on YouTube. It's been a recommendation for years now. And I broke the lens on it, and I thought that I couldn't find one online used. All of them were new. A little bit unaffordable. So that's why I went to the local camera shop owner thinking that they would have secondhand gear. Mm-hmm. This camera shop owner is 100% into film. So anybody in Ottawa will know Galaxy Camera. A lot of people are familiar with Galaxy Camera, and they do like pretty much all film. They do digital by order, but mm-hmm. And the more and more I chatted with him, I got into it. I think it was kind of like a solo journey for the first little bit because I was still a little bit apprehensive to message people on Instagram or get involved in any kind of community. And then I realized in the pandemic that, there's people out there doing the same stuff you like, and reaching out is not the worst thing. So I think the first time I reached out, I saw that somebody was trying to move some prints they had left over. I think it was... she's been on your show, actually, Alexandria.
Okay, yeah.
So she was giving away some prints for a reduced price or something like that. And there's one photo of hers that I actually really liked from the get. It was one of the carnival attendants at the CNE.
Okay.
So I ended up saying, hey, I'm interested. And then, so that's probably the first time I took a chance on messaging somebody. And it seemed safe enough. It worked out. And then from there forward, I would just, if something was photography related, I would just message, start a conversation. Doesn't mean a meetup would happen, but, started getting the wheels rolling on that. And then I saw when your show came out, this is a perfect opportunity, low risk, just, show up, ask a few questions, learn a few things about photography. There are a lot of resources I found that have been shared on your show as well from other photographers. So now I'm fully into it. I love the sense of community that photography, specifically film photography, has. Here in Ottawa, there's a group called Do It for the Grain. They've been active for...
That's a little on the nose.
Yeah. And they've been having actually recently a 3-year anniversary workshops and, photo sessions and things like that, which has been really cool. I got to meet quite a few people in person that I've been following for some time, and
Oh, that's cool.
it's just a sprinkle of magic, honestly. Like,
And that's what we
Yeah.
need right now. We need magic.
we really do.
It's been such a long couple of years, and so much has gone on in this time. So, it's the like you mentioned, the community is friggin' amazing. Like, it's so many rad people that love sharing what they know, and it's definitely been like one of the most welcoming communities I've had the privilege to be part of.
Yeah, I agree.
That's cool. So, have you been working on any projects or like anything that has been sort of like on your mind that you want to like put out there or that you've been working on?
So no projects on the go right now. I've just been accepting like little mini challenges from different people on Instagram. There's one challenge that's a little bit overdue and late to fulfill it, but pretty much we send 10 challenges to each other and then finish them and then send our results back. So that's kind of been kind of interesting.
What have the challenges been like?
They've been pretty cool, actually. So I think a different way, and I'm finding other photographers think a completely different way, and I see where their creative angles come from. So, for example, I think maybe I thought a bit technical, and I said, grab an exposure where the person is actually a dark silhouette. And that was one of my challenges. But my challengee had prompted me to think about what is meaningful to me in the stories. So, what's your favorite song? And try to take a picture based on that song.
Huh.
So it's still a thinker. I haven't finished that one. There was like a seriously stumpers on there for sure. So I like it. It's originally I kind of did that with before the pandemic hit. I was still in school for the second time, and I just bought a couple point and shoots because it was very easy to find and very affordable.
Yeah.
And I passed it around my classroom with the list of 10 challenges, and I wanted to see what my classmates would get, just as people, right? Not necessarily photographers. So after that, I was kind of telling other people about this challenge I did at school, and they were like, hey, I'd like to do that challenge with you as a photographer and see what we can come up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think the best one I've done so far, I've been challenged to do double exposures. I never did them until I got the challenge.
Okay.
And there's one that I'm saving to submit for the challenge, but the other ones I shared a little bit here and there on Instagram stories. But there's something magical about filling the dark void of your first shot with another exposure and it just landing perfectly. So I think that's probably like one of the coolest things I've gotten out of the challenge is finally breaking the barrier of doing a double exposure. I think there's some other people on the call right now who have done double exposures extensively, and I kind of took her inspiration of doing them consistently on each hole.
Okay.
If I were to kind of like, I don't have it grounded, but I do have some ideas for photography projects. So one is kind of like a series of looking in the mirror, where I would take a picture of two people, regardless of who they are. But it would kind of be as if you're the mirror yourself. So let's say there's a couple getting ready to, go out for the day, and it's the scenes in the washroom. I would try to like get it as if you're the perspective of the mirror. So that's one of my ideas. The other one is kind of like trying to write out a storyline and then grab enough stills that somebody could flip through the book and understand what's going through the story. And there would be kind of 2 or 3 parties involved in it, and they all end up meeting each other at the end somehow. So a lot of journaling is coming out of photography, I found.
That's cool.
I haven't quite moved on and acted on it quite yet, but I'm hoping to start using it to tell stories as well.
Someone asks here, MLMJT says, what genre of story? And also, what's up, Tim and JP the GOAT?
So the first story I was thinking was Betrayal. So I was thinking couples of different varieties, and you would kind of follow the stories of the couples, but somehow and I am quite literally ripping it off of a funny movie I saw. I'm blanking on the title, but I'm sure somebody might recognize it. Steve Carell's in the movie. And at the end, they all somehow like come together, and they didn't know that they knew each other. That's kind of what I want to try out, is what I wrote in my journal. But yeah, so something with Betrayal, something a little bit more somber. That's kind of the genre I want to go for.
Let's see here, Steve Carell movies. I don't know which one that would be. He's done so many.
So, what's the famous actor that's Canadian, heartthrobby?
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell and Emma Stone.
Ryan Gosling's Canadian? What?
I thought he was.
Huh, fuck, I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. Emma Stone. Shit, I don't know which one that would have been. But I do like his movies. Yeah, Photo T83 says Ryan Gosling. Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Yeah, I watched it a couple times. Just
2011. I'm surprised I haven't seen it. Julianne Moore. I kind of got a thing for that lady. I have to check this out now.
Yeah, it's
someone says he's from BC. So that's funny. We've got like, you know, the dueling Canadian Ryans who are out there being heartthrobs and shit.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Ryan Reynolds guy because, you know, Blade and all that kind of shit. But
I understand.
That's cool. What are the other genres you're thinking of? Is that like the Betrayal one's the first one so far? Or?
Yeah, I want it to be the first one so far. I think it kind of came out of the technical video I was watching on YouTube. And pretty much it was teaching us, if you make the background light this f-stop and then you contrast it with the subject light as this f-stop, you'll create a somber mood. So I was thinking like, oh, like maybe I should watch more lighting videos and try to do this as a project, like where I plan it out, find people, you know, get a scene set up, something like that. As like a more of a passion project than anything to release, but it kind of came from there, and they were also kind of explaining how to do lighting for more cheery, upbeat kind of scenes and stuff like that too. So I think I took a little bit of notes, and I thought like, okay, well, which one do I want to go for? Like, and then also because of the black and white, I really think somber would work very good with black and white. Thing with like high contrast. So picking the film also might be something I got to do some research on that provides high contrast naturally, I guess.
Eastman XX.
XX.
Yeah. So Film Photography Project makes a version of it which is only 24 rolls, which are 24 exposures, which I kind of fucking hate 24 exposure rolls. Cinestill makes a version of it, just called XX. Downtown Camera has it in stock usually, or you can buy it straight from Cinestill. And other people like hand roll it too, but like Eastman XX, it has some really, really nice contrast to it, and it's a 250 ISO, so it does give you some room there to play with. If you want something that's like crazy contrasty, Ferrania P30 has some wicked contrast to it, but it's an 80 ISO film. That's and it's kind of an asshole to work with sometimes. Like if you don't like nail your exposure with it, it's very unforgiving. But when you nail it and you get it right, it is such a beautiful film. But XX is nice because like it's pretty forgiving, so it's got some good latitude to it. So yeah.
Right on. I think because I can't see the whole chat, but there's one question that I just missed because the chat went up.
Someone says, how do you balance passion projects with work?
It's difficult. I feel like I designate my Sunday morning for going out, whether for photography, whether it's just for a walk or try to fix some cameras or stuff like that. But weekends and some evenings is kind of like when I try to get it in. But I try to dedicate like all of Sunday to like just do my personal kind of stuff that I want to like get a hold of. The other thing I would say, and this is like I guess personal to me, is you know how like you were able to make like little mind maps in school in younger years with shapes and you could put the words in and stuff like that. I like to like if I'm really passionate about a project, I'll go on the computer and make a mind map and kind of break out like these are the items that okay, well here's the whole project and I have to break it down and say, well, in order to complete this project that I've envisioned, I need these smaller items to be done. And then I put them in the mind map and then I have little tabs going down. I'm like, okay, well, you know, this date we'll do 2 hours of this date we'll do 2 hours of that. So it's not necessarily anything project management, I would say. But every time I've done something like that, my passion project has been completed. And when I do that, it's also easier to see like, okay, well, this is what I have to get done, but I also have to do personal work. I have to go to work as well. I have to take care of chores, take care of myself, of course. Have to factor that in. So I think that's the when I've had success completing a passion project, that's the technique that's worked the best for me. And I think it's like a visual thing, just seeing it laid out as opposed to like, you know, oh, I got to get this done, plus that done, and it's in your head and it's jumbled. And then I find that I get a little bit psyched out and I don't get anything done, even though I had the whole day and I could have got one item done. So yeah, ever since I kind of like figured out visually planning it out, laying it out with any type of mind mapping software, it works. I used to do it by hand too. So there shouldn't be any barriers if you want to try my technique out. There's 2 videos for some people swear by it. So I will say this, YouTube is like the father I never had. I learned a lot from you.
Well, as long as you're not seeking validation from YouTube, then you're fine.
Yes, I'll be careful.
Like, why doesn't YouTube say it loves me? I just want an attaboy. Actually, that would be fucking hilarious if like YouTube not only like, you know how they give the play things out to people, they should give like attaboys to people who like consume massive amounts of like YouTube thing, being like, you know, we're daddy now. We realize you spend a lot of time with us, so let's acknowledge that, and you know, we'll take you under the fold of the YouTube family. That'd be kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And since we're on YouTube, just some other comments and observations I had. So I noticed that some people like explicitly have made channels to teach children that may not have had a father figure how to do this in the house, how to do that in the house. And then I noticed more and more people are coming out that don't quite fit the genre. Like, let's say car videos. That's a male-dominated genre, right? But there's actually a lot of people out there giving you tutorials on different car items that are women or trans. And I thought it was I was very surprised to see that. And I think it's kind of cool that that's becoming more mainstream. And so you could look for your community.
It's been like that for a long time, I think, because I used to work in the automotive industry before I went to the dark side with computers and shit. And yeah, there's a lot of like, in anything, you know, it's always a sausage fest, but you know, there was always like, you know, a good amount of like, you know, other gender representation there. And like, you know, one of my favorite people when I was doing like the car audio stuff way back in the day was Alma Gates, and she was like legendary for being like this grandma who in her retirement decided she wanted to get into like sound competitions and like make these like crazy high performance, like, you know, blow out your eardrums like bass vehicles and stuff. And she was a fucking legend. Like that was like one of the coolest parts of my career, was like getting to meet her at a sound competition that she came up to in Port Kells. And yeah, but it is cool that like, you know, there's a lot of that. I do see that on TikTok a lot, where there's like a lot of you know, female and trans creators that are making this really cool content that unfortunately a lot of like, you know, tiny ego men kind of shit on, where it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, yo, this person's a mechanic. They definitely know what they're talking about. Like, you know, calm down your sexism, bud. And I feel like there's a degree of that too in the photography community where it is like, still pretty male dominated, and there's a lot of mansplaining, and, I've had like old dude with cameras mansplain shit to me too. And it's just like, cool your jets, man.
Yeah, I think the key is just to like listen. If somebody, mentioning something to you, it's obviously that well, first of all, they like you enough to let you know that, hey man, this is what you're doing. I'd like to let you know. So I think that's the key. As I was growing up, I would say like first year, second year of university is just like the kind people who called me out. And I had no idea, right? Because I come from a different background and a little bit of a rougher family situation. So those male figures weren't quite there. But yeah, it's just nice for me to see when I get great advice and like my problems are solved, and it came from a place that I would have never thought would make it in this world. So it's nice to do it.
Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah.
I do have to say, you sound way more organized than me. The closest thing I have to organization is sometimes I'll remember to put shit in my Outlook calendar, and then I have this whiteboard that's on my bathroom door where I write things that I need to remember, but then I forget that I wrote them there, and I'm just like, what the shit does that even mean? And I'm terrible with the organization of things.
It comes and it goes. I have my downs as well, I would say. But no, I've definitely been working on it for years, like maybe like 10 years, trying to get. But yeah,
that's very cool. So, what has been like one of the most interesting things that's happened to you so far since you've started in this journey with photography?
So I guess like an interesting event, or like any
it could
smaller...
be like an event, or just something that like happened to you that like stuck out, where it's like it could have been like a photo that you took that meant a lot, or like an interaction you had with someone, or
Okay. I think I have a story from like maybe the third roll of film I shot. So I lived in Ottawa for about 6 months in 2019 before I moved away. And now I'm back here. I just moved back here. So I wasn't, aware of Ottawa celebrities or, the local people that everybody knows. But there was like 3 times where I saw this gentleman, very, very well dressed. And I thought he was so well dressed that in my head, I'm imagining he's walking in slow motion because I'm driving by, or I see him at the bus stop, or I see him like downtown, et cetera, et cetera. And I said to myself, like, man, I got to work up the courage to ask this gentleman for a photo. And then I think one time I did catch him while I was on foot, and I went up to him and I asked him, hey, I've seen you around town. You have impeccable style. And I was wondering if I could take a photo of you. So just for reference, in the photos that was shared, it's the gentleman in the suit that I'm speaking of.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one. That's a cool shot.
So anyways, he didn't say anything for 45 seconds. And I was just about to, thought maybe I had, offended him or whatever it might have been. And then he just briefly said the words, "Where will it go?" And I said, well, I would obviously share it with you and maybe Instagram if it ever, comes out good. This is film. I have to do it, blah, blah. And he was just so in character. I'm not even sure. Like, I was intimidated a little bit, but like, he just posed. I took the photo, and then I thought it was in slow motion. Maybe it wasn't in slow motion, but he takes the business card out and gives it to me. And then as he's taking off, I realized this is in slow motion. It's it's his thing. It's like an artistic character that he's doing in real life.
Okay.
Anyways, his name on Instagram is ByDiz. And turns out in Ottawa, quite a few people have known him to be doing this. I think he is also an artist by trade as well, a graphic designer. And I thought it was one of the most strangest experiences, because when he gave me that business card, I just realized, wow, did I take a picture of a celebrity? And I think he liked it too, and he used it for one of his campaigns online as well. So it was really cool and really heartwarming. So that was one of them. There's a lot of different cool people I've been able to strike a conversation with just by asking for a photo. And I think you've mentioned a couple times you like giving the photo at the end of your interactions, which is kind of a bonus because you have the Polaroid on you at most times, right?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I like giving people photos. So like oftentimes if I take a photo of someone on the streets, I don't have a copy of it. I give them the only copy that ever exists of that. When it's friends, what I often do, if it's someone that I haven't seen in a while that I'm catching up with, I'm always like, let's play a game. I'm going to take 2 shots and you get to pick which one you like, and then I keep the other one. And then we both have like a memento from like that, catching up kind of thing. And yeah, those are the 2 things. And then it's usually either Instax Square with the lomography square camera, or Polaroid with one of the various Polaroids, which right now I've just been using the 1-step plus, but hopefully soon Zane will be done my SX70s and 680s, and I'll be able to play with those again. I miss those guys.
Yeah, those are pretty nice units.
They are. It's kind of funny because like when I first saw them and then I saw how much they were, I'm like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to get one of these. They're so damn expensive, and now I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I didn't pay like huge price for a lot of them, but I did spend a bit like getting some of them refurbished and customized and stuff, because it's like, when you're tricking out a car, you could do all sorts of crazy things with it. So I've had a couple of them sort of tricked out by Zane.
Nice. I think one thing that I'm noticing with cameras and people, because these are not new units, right? People often are getting cameras. Maybe it's a good deal, maybe it's overpriced, but I'm finding more and more people are having cameras that need servicing. And the service is harder and harder to find these days. I was lucky enough to find somebody out in Kingston that services them. So whenever I get a camera, I test it out with the roll, and my love for Pentax is too much, but all these Pentaxes are fully mechanical, and often the shutter speeds are completely off to the point where half the frame is blacked out because the two curtains are not quite linked Insane. Up, right? So anyways, I think some people get stumped, and I've even seen the same issue on a lot of photos that get posted online. People are like, oh darn, like my camera is this or that. And I love sending them YouTube videos and be like, hey, this is what's going on with your unit. You can try fixing it at home. And, I think it's just fun, like when people are able to like message you and kind of help you out. And then I love doing it when I can, especially because there's YouTube videos where it has the whole explanation there for them, right? And they can help themselves. And yeah, I am wondering, like, when I know there's jibber jabber and talk of like re-releasing a film camera. I'm not sure if anybody else spoke of re-releasing a brand new film camera.
Well, I think Leica is one of the few that you can still buy a new film camera from, because it's you can still buy the MP and the MA from them, which are ridiculously expensive, but beautiful cameras. Yeah, they work super well. I've been using an M3 for the last little bit, and I never really understood the hype until I used one, and I was like, okay, I get it now. But that being said, there's lots of other cool rangefinder cameras out there that will give you a similar feel that won't break the bank, like the Rolly XF35, a very cool little rangefinder camera. Maybe I think probably like $300 to $400 now with hipster prices, but it has a really nice fast lens on it. I think it's like a 1 or a 2, maybe a 1.8. I can't remember. It's great for street photography. They're very quiet. Like the shutter on it is just like click, like that's it. It's just really cool for that kind of stuff. The Russian Zorkis are really fucking cool too, and you can find those for a couple $100 with a collapsible lens. And the Zorkis are cool because they use the Leica thread mount. So if you want to play with Leica thread mount glass, you can buy a Zorki for like $100, $200 and then throw Leica glass on it, and you're effectively taking Leica pictures because it's through Leica glass. You just didn't pay $4,000 for the body. So it's,
I think that's the perspective more people should kind of take too, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, what is a camera? Just a box that sets your shutter speed, right?
exactly. That's the thing. Like, you know, it's the glass that kind of gives it that sort of that look, feel, whatever. So it's like if you want that sort of Leica look, you can buy yourself like a nice collapsible 50 mil Summicron LTM for I think they go for like $400 or $500, and then buy like $100 Zorky body. So for like, you know, $600-700, you can kind of have like a Leica setup, and the Zorky still gives you that sort of infuriating Leica feeling of having to cut the leader so it fits in right. So it's like, you know, you get the whole Leica experience. It's just you don't have to spend all that money. Yeah, apparently Leica glass has a look, which is why people like it. I sold my Zorky at the last camera show, and I kind of regret it because I miss it. It was a cool camera, but I was like, I'm not using it very much, so I'm hoping it's finding a new love now. But yeah, there's cheaper alternatives to Leica out there. But yeah, it'd be cool if more companies started making like new real film cameras. Like I know there's lots of like disposables and reusables out there, which are honestly kind of cool. Like I bought my niece and nephew one of the Kentmere reusable cameras, which if you want to play with like a cool reusable camera, the Kentmere one's a hell of a deal. It's like $40, and it comes with 2 rolls of Kentmere 400.
Well, there's your money right there.
Yeah, well, that's most of the money there. It's like, you know, that they're like, what, $10-12 a roll. So it's like, you know, half of the money is just in the 2 film rolls that come with it. But, you know, they're hella robust cameras. Like I gave them to like a 6 and a 7-year-old, and, you know, the 6-year-old managed to beat the shit out of his pretty hard, but it still took pictures, even though it was held together with literally Band-Aids. But they took really cool pictures. So, you know, you don't need something fancy to like make cool images. You know, I mean, if you can't take a picture with like a $10,000 camera, or with like a, you know, $50 camera, you're not going to take a better picture with a $10,000 camera.
That's true. I'm just trying to think of. I'm pretty sure it's not like a secret anymore. Like people in the film community are catching on to the '90s cameras and the early 2000s cameras. I'm talking about those Canon digital looking bodies, but they're still film bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Price point, and you can literally put an E-mount lens of any generation, and they take wicked pictures.
So, kind of almost any generation. Canon changed their mounts around a lot more than Nikon did. So if you want something that has like really, really crazy backwards compatibility, like the Nikon, you know, fit like the F80 is a really great little guy. Even the F75 and F65, those are really good ones. The F100, absolute classic. But the thing with like the lens mount on those ones is like any of the Nikon F mounts more or less will work on those bodies, which is kind of cool because you could find Nikon F mount glass for like super, super cheap. Since Canon changed their lens mount around so much, you can't use some of the older shit with the camera bodies. So it's like you're forced to buy something that might be a little bit more expensive, which is how I ended up becoming a Nikon whore, because lens compatibility was even better. Yeah, the F5 is great too. My usual go-to film camera is an F5, and I absolutely love that camera. It's a beast.
I think that's the camera that you pasted. This machine freezes time. Is that another?
This machine stops time.
Stops time. Okay.
Yeah, because so that camera's name is Woodrow, which is like a nod to Woody Guthrie, and
okay.
Like that was his famous line was "This machine kills fascists" on his guitars. So, you know, my camera, this machine stops time because it you know, freezes time in those images.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, it's it's been wild owning that camera because it got stolen from me at one point and was gone for a little over a month. And a friend found it on like an online sale thing that I think is like no longer, but went and confronted the guy and got it back, and that was a real fucked up experience. What's that?
The guy gave it back after being confronted, or?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird thing. So it got stolen at a gallery show that I was doing for mental health, which is it was kind of like wicked ironic that a tool that I use for my, like, primarily for my own mental health got stolen at an event that was to promote mental health. So it's just like, this is a little weird, kind of funny. Yeah, it got stolen there, and luckily I had pictures of the camera with my serial number on it, and I printed that up, and there was some like dings and marks on the camera that I recognized in the pictures he posted, where I was like, this is definitely my fucking camera. Like, I'm 99% sure it's mine. So I brought the printout with the serial number. A friend of mine came to help me confront this guy. She pretended to be my girlfriend and that we were buying the camera for her for like art school. And so as soon as we got there, she's like, oh, can I look at the camera? And so she was holding on to it, and she like looked at the serial number in the car and memorized it. And she's like, yeah, this is your camera. And I was just like, all right, man, I'm going to take it. And I pulled out the copy of my serial number and like handed it to him, and he opened it up. He's like, the fuck is this? And I'm like, this is my camera. I have an open police report on the theft of this, and we're just going to leave and take it now. And if you try to do anything, I'm going to like give all the information that I've gotten from you so far to the police and ask them to charge you to the whatever fucking extent they can. And he's like, whoa, man, I didn't steal it. And I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. You know, it was stolen, and now we're here. So, you know, if you didn't steal it, you obviously know who did. And so you can't backtrack on any of this shit, because, like, you know, it was stolen at St. Clair, like way, way west. And so it's like, it was stolen in St. Clair, and it was like 10 minutes from my house in Scarborough was where I ended up like picking it up. So it's just like, you obviously know who took this. And it's like, you know, if you do talk to them, just let them know how shitty it is to fucking steal something from like someone. I'm like, you know, obviously they probably need some help if they like stealing shit like that. And, you know, I hope they can get that help, and like, just let them know, like, if they're going to steal shit, fucking steal it from like Henry's instead of stealing it from Henry. Like, take it from somewhere that has like loss prevention and shit like that. 'Cause it sucks to steal it from a person who, you know, might really need that thing or can't afford to replace it. Like, you know, fucking steal shit from places that like have insurance for that kind of stuff. And he's like, tried to shake my hand. I'm like, I'm not fucking your pal. Like, we're not friends. We're not cool at all. Like, you have my stolen shit. He's like, okay, well, whatever. I'm like, yeah, it was a really fucked up experience. 'Cause like, I just like got so worked up about it. And even like after we got back in the car, I was like, I just need to like sit here for a few minutes, because like my stomach was doing like backflips. Because it was just so like, he was a big, scary looking dude. And so I'm just like, I was talking shit like I was gonna like cut him or something, and I'm like, yeah, if this guy tried to come at me, we'd be fucking done.
Well,
Yeah.
that's quite sure. I don't think I've heard that one, to be honest. That's really cool that you're able to get it back. Dang, I would have been nervous to approach. I think I would have probably not done it, but I guess you had backup too, so that helps.
Yeah, and Brandy, she's pretty tough. So like, you know, I definitely would have had my ass handed to me, but she definitely would have kicked that dude's ass. So it pays to have tough friends, you know.
Yeah.
And again, beating gender norms, like, you know.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, but since then, that camera hasn't really left my sight. Like, it's either at home, or if I take it with me traveling, it's like always with me. So, yeah, I'm going to be sad when it finally breaks, because I know at some point the electronics will give out on it. And, you know, that's the one thing that's kind of a bummer with all these, like, you know, electronic based cameras, that at some point they're going to fucking die. And, you know, it's hard enough getting someone to try and fix a mechanical camera, let alone an electrical one. So, But
It's tough.
if you do have a camera that needs some love, there's also a guy in Calgary who goes by YYC Lens Medic that is also very good. So if you have a camera that needs some love, hit them up. Or if you're in Toronto, Downtown Camera, Nigel there is really good with little quick fixes. And if it needs more than what Nigel can fix on the spot, they know some really good peeps that they can send stuff out to. So, yeah.
Right on. That's some cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to like hearing about this this project though, like seeing where your double exposure project goes, because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I've been doing it on black and white. I've only done one roll so far. Well, two rolls. The first roll didn't yield any good results, mostly because they didn't line up the way I wanted them to. So I used like the Pentax, and I just manually pushed that rewind button, and then held the rewind lever crank, and then I did, hopefully thinking that just the shutter would get caught, but it still moved the piece of film a little bit this way, a little bit that way. So that didn't work out. But then I went to my trusty Canon EOS, 90s based system, and you just press a button and you can say 2 exposures, 3 exposures, all the way up to 9 exposures. And I said 2 exposures when I needed it, and it held the piece of film right there for me. And I think with that one, it took a while for me to wrap my head around the theory of, well, the film can only be exposed so much. So I realized, okay, well, maybe I should take whatever I'm reading and half it. And then for the second one, half it as well. But then you also kind of have to hunt down, because like black and white has great, you could shoot it this way or that way from the correct exposure that the camera says. And it's probably going to be fine, right? So what you need to find is kind of, at least for me, I found in my experience, you need to find dramatic light. So here's a building which fully lit on this side, and then on the other side it's completely dark because it's in an alleyway. And then when you take your second picture, put whatever you want in that second picture, the dark parts, and try to make sure that the light parts of your first one is dark on your second part. Or, and this is kind of like my thing that I don't know anybody's talking about online quite yet, is take your lens cap and like, not like fully put a cover, but like just gently put enough of a shadow that you think that the second exposure won't wreck that highlight detail from the first one. And it seems to be working. I think there's one example that I shared for the post for tonight's show. It's pretty much a picture of the first exposure was the church doorway or kind of roof. And then the next one is quite literally an advertisement posted on just a pole, and the guy was looking pretty stoic, and since it's already advertised, I'm not going to have any copyright issues. So I just kind of gently put a little bit of my lens cap over the top.
Okay.
Not like enough that it would get to the bottom of the doorway, because then everything would get washed out, is what I found in my first experience. But just enough because I knew that second exposure was a bright throughout the whole frame, right? There wasn't a dark point at the top, but there were other double exposures that I was able to just naturally see, like, oh yeah, this was dark in that part of the frame. And, because these Canon EOSs have these little dots, like there's 5 dots for the autofocus points, I'll be like, it was dark from the second autofocus point up, so let me find like a lighter thing from here, or like flip it around, or yeah, I'm probably talking gibberish. That only makes sense.
No, it's not gibberish, because it's kind of cool to hear this stuff, because like honestly, I'm all thumbs when it comes to like multiple exposure shit. I'm just like, I push the button that makes it do the thing, and then I do stuff, or I accidentally forget that like I shot a roll, and then just like reload it and have accidental double exposures where I'm like, just like, fuck, yeah, I didn't actually want to like ruin those photos. So this is informative for me, because I have to be honest, I don't really school myself much on the technical stuff. I'm like one of those people that I use aperture priority all the time on my F5. And
I love that.
yeah, it's the best. And then when I'm shooting my like Fuji digital, it's all auto. I just fucking, sometimes I put the aperture to like like f2 or like f1.2 if I'm shooting my 56mm lens. That's the only thing everything else is auto because I'm fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say, since we're talking about love for auto, I gotta say I love how smart these point and shoot cameras are. I just recently shot a roll through a point and shoot camera after a long time, and they're smart. They got some kind of wicked microcomputer in there that, like, if it has more than one autofocus point in that little point and shoot, it's smart enough to figure out the exposure. And if you think it's not smart enough to figure out the exposure, hover whatever autofocus point you have on your point and shoot camera,
mm-hmm.
and then move it over to whatever you want it to frame. And
CP Davey here says that Koken makes a double exposure filter that you can black out half the frame. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's actually smart. I got it right now. Actually, CP Davies, Chris Davey, one of the cool friends I made through Instagram back when I was in Toronto just before I moved.
Cool.
And he's also a lot of fun to shoot with. I think currently he's doing a lot of like nature photos on film. He got a nice zoom lens that worked with an EOS film body. So you guys can check him out if you guys are into more nature photos and like just Toronto landscapes. He's got a good coverage on them. But yeah, I've always been sharing tips back and forth with Chris and sharing rides to the downtown camera to drop our film off in the middle of the night. So yeah, just an example of like how you can find friendships on Instagram. Just wanted to put it up.
And P was asking what Fuji do I have. I've got an X Pro 2 and an XT2. I use the XT2 when I'm doing studio stuff and the X Pro 2 for like just wandering around on the streets and stuff. And I resisted the Fuji side because I really don't like them for killing pack film. But they do make a really nice fucking digital camera. So I've had to eat some crow on that one.
Mm-hmm. I like the way they have those new in-body simulations.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty darn good, I would say. They do a really good job. I remember seeing an account and I was like, oh, great, a film account. And I was like following, like, man, like, what stock is this? Like, what stock is this? Like, he's never advertising or giving the details of what he's shooting on.
It's like, not film, it's all digital. Yeah, so like my feed now since moving to Vancouver has been a mix of like film and digital, because I'm still I miss downtown camera a lot, and I didn't realize how much downtown camera enabled me to shoot film almost like digital, because I could shoot 3 or 4 rolls out on a photo walk, drop it off to them on the way home, and within like a day or two get all my photos. And that's usually a lot faster than when I shoot digital, because it's like I'll shoot a bunch of stuff on the Fuji and then I'll upload it onto my NAS, and then I'll be like, I don't really want to edit it, and it'll sit there for a few days or weeks, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll edit it, and then I'm like, I fucking hate editing things. So it's just, I miss the enablement that downtown gave me, because
I definitely too.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing that came out of the pandemic with regards to downtown camera is their Dropbox, because every time, even though downtown camera was accessible, if you don't live in the downtown core, my sister does, so I would like routinely drop off 10 rolls for her to take it, but it has to be before 5 in the afternoon, et cetera, et cetera. I thought it was really cool they got the Dropbox, because after that I would do midnight rides down the DVP just to drop off my film, and I felt like Batman just riding down the DVP, freaking dropping off my film, like, tomorrow I will have pictures. I think they got a good system there, and like I've rarely ever had any issues with development or scanning. Their scan quality is actually really good.
Their scan quality is so fucking good. And I rarely ever get anything other than JPEG, because I found the JPEG quality to just be fucking phenomenal. Like, all my book projects have all been just the JPEG ones. when I do prints and stuff, it's all the JPEG stuff. Like, I've done prints like 11 by 14, no problem. Like, their quality is great, and that's what spoiled me, because I haven't really found a place out here that offers the same level of like quality and price and all of that here in Vancouver. Like, Rocket Reproduction's gotten close, so they're the lab that I use here in Vancouver for stuff that I'm not as concerned with. Stuff that's really, really important to me still gets mailed to Toronto, and I just mailed a bunch of stuff this week to them. So Fab just let me know that they got it. So this time next week, I'll have my photos.
I don't know if they still do it, but the first time I used downtown camera, I had about maybe 20 rolls altogether, because I was living in Ottawa and I just saved those summer rolls. And when I sent it in, because I guess it was a big enough order, they gave me a membership.
The AMFM. Yeah.
And I still think the membership's good. I haven't purchased from downtown camera since moving here, but they give quite a good discount on Kodak and other products as well if you're buying film.
Yeah, here, let's look it up so we can do a plug. And just to say, I'm not sponsored by Downtown Camera, but I do love them a lot, and I've spent more money there than I like to think about.
It's so easy and so quick to go through. I used to wait a week for the scans back, and actually Chris, that you guys saw in the chat, convinced me that it's worth the next day fee to get your pictures. It's actually quite magical, going out for a shoot, finishing the roll, getting the pictures the next day.
All right, so here is the analog film member AMFM club. It's $25 to sign up for it, and it's each year. If you're a student or teacher, then it's only $15. Or if you spend over $200, you get it for free. And the membership perks are: you get 25% off of all Kodak film and chemistry, 25% off of flick film chemistry, I'm not sure what that is, 25% off single-use batteries, 25% off of their hand-rolled downtown camera film that they've started doing, 10% off of all other film, and 10% off of darkroom chemicals and supplies, and 5% off of photo finishing. And there's a bunch of like exclusive stuff that if you're an AMFM member, you get a bunch of stuff in there, which is cool. So it's totally worth it. And then when you sign up for it, you get a free roll of Kodak film. Oh, or they do a Kodak disposable camera now. That's cool. So you can either do a roll of film or a Kodak disposable camera when you renew. So it's almost like basically free, like especially now that Portrait is like $24.
Yeah, it's a good deal, and I've always wondered, like, because other camera shops I'm visiting also do memberships as well. The one in Ottawa has a membership too, and I think it's worth it even if you just get like 10 rolls in a year, right? So I think there might have been a question, but it went up on my chat. I can't quite see the whole thing.
Someone's like, could I borrow someone's film and give you back the canister? That's terrible. No, you can't steal film from me.
That's funny.
Where is it here? And Pete says, your stories make me wish I shot 35 millimeter. Just shoot more 35 millimeter, man. You could totally do that.
Yeah.
Where is it here? Yeah, it's definitely the downtown camera thing is really fucking cool. I would highly suggest it if you live in Canada. If you live in the States, Freestyle has some really good deals on film and stuff. Definitely worth checking out. And B&H has a bunch of stuff too. So yeah, those are your options down there for show. And yeah, you just gotta keep spending money, because that's how we keep it alive. Yeah. It's someone asked me once, like, if I knew how much money I've spent on
Oh,
film and developing and stuff since I started doing film in 2017, and this was in like 2019. And I started like working it out in my head, and then I'm like, I don't really want to play this game anymore. I don't like it.
I did check the 1 year, and I wasn't shooting as much back then, but I did buy and develop and scan with a downtown camera that year. So I kept all the receipts and added them up. I think it was about $1,300 for the whole year, and I did get quite a few photos out of it. But more importantly, I got a lot of enjoyment. So that's the way I kind of justified it. The other way I kind of justified it is when I was a smoker, I spent more money.
Yeah, so that's how I justify it. Is I spend, I don't do drugs or drink anymore at the same volume I used to when I was younger. So, just the money that I spent on those addictions now just go to film. Not as much though since I've moved here. My film costs it, and also since Kodak started raising their film prices to ungodly levels. Sorry, Tim. I want to support Kodak more, but it's so goddamn expensive. Yeah, like I stopped by Rocket Reproduction here in Vancouver to drop off a couple roll of films, and a roll of Superior 400 was like $9.99, and a roll of Portra 400 was $24.99.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I think I have enough of a supply from a year or two ago that I'm just working on it. But I still buy film. I still end up buying. That's the problem. You go in and you see something like, oh man, where the prices go. I better.
Did
get this.
you?
It's just,
Did you
it's-
jump? Yeah, apparently Fuji is going to be hiking their prices up 60%. Fuck, like.
60.
Did you jump in on the Cinestill filmmaker thing, where they were doing the 400D?
I have not. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I should. I guess it's going to be cheaper than what retail would be. I'm just kind of worked through a roll of prototype 400D from Downtown Camera.
Okay.
So once I finish that, I'm going to look at it and see if this is my jam or not. And then hopefully there's still enough like spaces. Maybe there's a 7-roll space or a 10-roll space that I could maybe get in on. But while we're talking about film, I was wondering if we could both shoot back and forth for the budget friendly and why you might like it. Because I'd love to plug my budget friendly one for the chat members here.
Sure.
So I would say, and I think it's slept on, but Pro Image 100. At the time I was buying it was maybe $9 before the price hack. Maybe it's like $11 now.
It might be a bit more now. Let's see what Pro Image is going for on Downtown Camera right now. $13.65.
Okay, so I got it at a good time. But the results are phenomenal. If you find like you don't really like the results at like 100, just shoot it at 50 and see if you like it there. So get yourself a test roll, shoot a couple frames at 100, shoot a couple frames at 50. If you like it, it could be your next one. I think there's a question that I missed out.
We'll get to it there. You can finish your...
So anyways, yeah, and one thing I was surprised about with Pro Image 100 is if you put it in an SLR and an old school flash, and I know like the aperture with the old school flashes are maybe like 4 or 5.6, so you got to nail your focus some bit and keep your subjects, somewhat close, I guess. But it does a really good job. Like some of these photos are phenomenal. I put them in a point and shoot camera, and the flash was bright as heck, but I think it's a really good one. I used to be able to say I love Superior, but I've seen it as high as $15 lately. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's
Either
getting up there.
has a favorite for budget friendly.
Yeah, like Pro Image is a good film that's totally slept on. Like it's definitely worth shooting for color. I think like a good one for like cheap black and white is like the Kentmere 400 is really good, and shoots really well, looks fucking awesome. It's like dirt cheap. Yeah, Paul says Kodak Gold. Kodak Gold is also good, but I think it's still kind of expensive right now. Let's see what Kodak Gold here is going for on today's market. Oh shit, it's not bad. So if you can get it, it's $823 in 24 exposure and 11, 25, and 36, but out of stock. Can't get it.
It's hard to get.
Because it's so hot right now. It's like Hansel.
Walmart used to have it at a really good price, a 3-pack for $24 or so, something like that. But I think they increased their prices since. I remember talking to somebody saying that they just bought all the gold from Walmart.
Yeah, Chris says Walmart usually has.
They do.
Yeah, and also Paul asks, what is your favorite black and white film, and do you home develop and scan?
Yes, so I just recently learned how to home develop with black and white. So I went to the local camera shop. He got me set up with the supplies.
Nice.
And for videos, I highly recommend, because everybody knows John loves learning with YouTube. The channel is called Analog Resurgence, and I believe it's a fellow from Toronto because all the photos that he's taken from the samplers are like downtown Toronto. And he has a good 45-minute video that goes over everything if you've never done home development black and white. And he also just has brilliant videos for photography in general, and I do quite enjoy his videos. And it's local, so... Well, ex-local. I guess I moved out of town, but...
Just don't drink the forbidden water. Even if it looks colorful like Kool-Aid, don't drink it.
So I do develop at home, and I finally invested in a scanner, which I'll show you guys here in a second. So this is my scanner that I got off the internet. It is on the pricier side. I think I spent almost $600 for this unit.
Dang.
But it's a 35 millimeter only. I don't have a medium format, so I chose to just go for something like this. But plus techs are really good, and you could get a unit for maybe $200 to $300 depending on if it's used or new. And plus techs are pretty good. You can obviously check out YouTube for references and stuff. So the scanning part was very tough at first because I find a lot of these units they're just dated. Nobody updated them with innovation or anything, right? So if you don't follow the setup procedure or take care, Tinoy. Thanks for coming out. They could be finicky is what I find. And I think everybody has issues with scanners regardless of where they buy it from. But once you nail your kind of workflow after lots and lots of research or just your personal preferences, it's so rewarding to kind of get a scan as soon as you develop. And I've quite literally been out, shot the whole roll, and this is why I kind of like the 24 rolls of black and white now, because I could finish the roll and then come back home and see if my experiment was correct. This is what I did to adjust to get my double exposure. Did it work out? Let's develop. And let's scan and let's find out. And seems like most innovation in scanning as of late is in the DSLR scanning. I would agree with that. I haven't explored it, but a lot of people are getting wicked results by getting up a little setup, having their camera perfectly in line, macro lens. And I think softwares like the one I looked into was Negative Lab Pro. Seems to be doing a good job, like a really good job. I had somebody recommend that I should just scan with my scanner and then use Negative Lab Pro, set the white balance with your film, and the colors are amazing. We did have a comparison with, we both shot Kodak Pro Image, and I just scanned with whatever software came with the unit. And he had done scanning with the flatbed, I believe, and then used Negative Lab Pro, and he was able to extract some wicked colors, and mines were still. And I guess it took the guesswork out for him too. I do have to follow up and see if he had some kind of settings changed or anything like for his preferences. But it's a whole crapshoot. Not a crapshoot, but I would say there's a whole big world. Like every step of the way, there's something that you can modify that your outcome will be different, right? And that's why I think my maybe uncontroversial opinion is that it's okay to make adjustments to your film photos, i.e. editing your film photos. And I think some of the earlier days when people were like, well, you're not as pure, or
well,
et cetera.
Here's the thing with that is anyone that says that kind of shit just needs to shut the fuck up, because they probably jerk off to Ansel Adams and are like, oh my god, Ansel is so pure and this is fucking amazing. If you saw his unedited prints, you'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? Does he even know how cameras fucking work? All of the work that he published was heavily doctored in the darkroom before Photoshop existed. Like, he was Photoshop. So this whole, like, it needs to be, shut the fuck up. If you need it, like, you can go make the image however you want, because that's the thing. Like, it's your photo. You make it the way you want. If you need to go tweak it because you want it to be different, that's fine. It's your photo. I hate when people make that comment where it's like, oh, it needs to be right out of the camera, don't edit it. It's just like, well, if you're going to take it right out of the camera, you're going to have to edit it in some, if you scan it, that's kind of editing it, because it's not going to be straight out of the camera. You've like interpolated it into a digital system that's going to like, fucking make it all different there. Even if you like printed it in the darkroom, it's still not going to be out of the camera, because now you're kind of throwing it into another camera of sorts that's going to like throw it down on the paper there. So it's just like, I mean, those fucking people just need to like, shut the hell up. If someone said photography is supposed to be fun, period. That's exactly it. It's supposed to be fun. Like, those are probably the same people that will mansplain you how everything works until you want to just like jump off of a fucking bridge to get away from them. So, there's a spicy take on that.
Yeah, I did it a little lightly, but I appreciate you for doing it that way. And I just wanted to. The main point I just wanted to make sure like everybody out there is realizing that like, there's so much to the process that we were just talking about, that you can make it the way you want to. I forget which restaurant used to say make it the way you want to, but when it applies here too. I think it might be Quiznos.
Yeah, Quiznos or Harvey's had a thing like that where it's like make it your way.
Yeah, and it's just such a good journey, I appreciate the digital journey. I don't have one anymore, and I'm looking to purchase. I always try and save up my money, but life happens, rent comes, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I always the digital purchase. But even the digital process is fun too, and it's always going to be different from the person sitting next to you, and that's why it's got to make that journey your own. You got to make it work for you. This is supposed to be pleasurable alongside. I.e., some people are doing it for work too, but you can have pleasure in your work too, and
if you're not enjoying it, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Like, unless that's your like thing. Like, some people have like kings where it's like they do things that they hate just because it makes them feel good about it. And if that's you, all the more power to you. Go nuts with it. But I think people it's very subjective. Like, what works for one person definitely won't work for other people. Or maybe it will. Who knows? Like, it's, I don't know, just don't be a dick to other people. Let them enjoy what they're doing. And give props. People deserve to be like, hey, that's a cool photo. Or be like, hey, that's kind of terrible. I don't know. Like, be honest. Be genuine. Say what's on your mind. Yeah.
Well, I like when people are honest. Like, I've gotten some good advice out of honesty, right? And like I mentioned before, everybody's got a different perspective. So you might not see something that you could be crisped up or, add some value to your photos that somebody else might have seen. And I think like small things, like somebody mentioned to me, when you take this photo, like if you had just gotten the light to glimmer off their eyes, it would look magical. And I was like, really? And then I tried it with another photo. I'm like, oh, dang.
Or you could just be like, you know what? I want my photo to look fucking muddy. Go to hell. Because that's my look, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do what feels right to you. As long as you're not hurting other people, you know, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul also mentioned here that Fomapan is a great option too. And Fomapan is great. I love Fomapan 400. I've had a lot of fun with that film, and it's pretty cheap. It's like $9 a roll. So
Fomapan also has a 200 that does very well too. And 200 seems like an odd ISO for a black and white. I don't see anybody else throwing out 200 ISO black and white.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, they have some good stuff for sure. I love like trying the obscure black and white films that are like on the super budget end of things. I can't even remember their names now, but Downtown Camera has like a few. I think it was called like, man, I should have wrote these names down before I came to the chat. But there was one that used to go for like $5, and it was a 36 exposure, and no DX code, no nothing, and it was just like a blue canister. I don't know if they still have it, but it still got me good results. Like I was like, gosh darn, like I don't know what ultrafine. Chris has got it there, ultrafine.
Ultrafine's great.
They had all the ISOs and stuff, and I was like, man, like for $5.50 or whatever it was at the time.
Well, here I'm looking at their website, and the cheapest film they have right now is from Astrum, and you can get that either in a 64 ISO, 35mm 36 exposure, or in 100 ISO, 35mm 36 exposure, $5.53. It's on sale right now. And then Kent Mirror is $6.75. That's not bad for Kent Mirror 400. What's their cheapest color though? Let's see. Kodak Gold's their cheapest color, and they're out of stock. So, wah wah. What else is there? Yeah, it's all black and white under $10, except for Kodak Gold, which you can't get right now. Let's see when color starts up again. Fuji 200, Fuji Color 200, $10.50.
Not bad.
Yeah. So it's not bad.
They're pretty good.
My problem with Fuji is I don't like how cold it is. It's a cold film. It has more of a focus on the blues and the greens, and I don't really like that. I like the more racist film Kodak. It's just warmer. Oh shit! They do their own double X.
Yep, they got quite a few hand rolled products. They even have Tri-X hand rolled, and I think it's a little bit cheaper. So
yeah, they've got they do a hand rolled double X for $12. You have to buy a bunch of that. I love that film. Where is it? Paul says, I'm kind of digging most color stuff recently with Instax White or just iPhone. And that's an interesting comment on the iPhone, because Diane, who was on the chat a couple weeks ago, she did a whole book that was shot on iPhone, various iPhones. Like she did it over, I think it was like over 7 or 8 years she did the project. So she had a bunch of different iPhones that she used throughout the project, but all the photos in the book were all shot on iPhone, and they all look great. And I thought that was a cool story, because she never used a real camera to take any of it. She just used an iPhone. And I think that shows that the barrier of entry to like do cool projects and stuff like that is very low. Like you don't have to go buy some fancy expensive thing to do a cool project. Like you can do it with whatever you want. And I think there needs to be more support for that kind of stuff, to let people know like it's totally cool to just like, shoot with whatever you want, and it's not going to like, make you look bad or your work be shitty because you didn't go buy a Leica or like some fancy camera to go do that project with.
Yeah, and I think that that's like kind of one of the reasons why I was bringing up. Let's talk about the cheaper films, and I also had some other ideas I've been seeing that's becoming more and more popular online, which is to get into your old-fashioned little pocket digital camera from like 2000, maybe up to 2008 that everybody had back in the day. Like we all know that camera. Before we had an iPhone, we had that camera. At least one person had an outing with that camera, and they would make whole Facebook albums that were just about that night, because we used to be able to make albums on Facebook.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was noticing that you could pick up these units for $20-$30, so it slept on still, I would say. Maybe the batteries don't last as long, but you still have a unit to shoot with. And I'm noticing more people on my Instagram feed in more foreign countries, South Asian countries, are getting into using those cameras again, like just finding them up and putting them on. I think some YouTubers might be getting back into like exploring that option as well. And I think it's really cool. I think, finding one, whether it's from your thrift store for $10-$20, 30, or getting it off eBay or even a garage sale, might be worth it to try and do a project with that, or just, a lower barrier to access. You don't have to develop, you don't have to pay for that. You can just get a nice file and work with it off your computer, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So if anybody in the chat's thinking about a low barrier way to get in,
Well, and Alex says here that a lot of Canon point and shoots can be hacked to shoot RAW too. So that's a cool thing to know.
You can make it the way you want to by editing the RAW.
Yeah, you can shoot like ODB.
Yeah. I thought some of the cool things about those digi cameras was I think some of them, like, they're so old that the biggest SD card you could put into it is like 4 gigabytes.
Okay.
And then at the market right now, you can't find an SD card.
Yeah, you can't find them. That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, so things have come along.
And then Paul says that he's working on a project using an iPhone with the Hipstamatic app. Do you remember that? The Hipstamatic app?
Hipstamatic app? No, but you got to remind me.
So Hipstamatic was like a thing before Instagram started, where you could take like it was like the original like filter camera thing for iPhone before Instagram filters kind of took off. So that's kind of hilarious that he's doing a project with that. I think that's rad.
I'm surprised the app is still like on the phone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I got Instagram in 2012, and at that point we had filters in that point in time. But
oh yeah, they had filters forever on that thing.
Like, the kind of smartphone game, I had like a Sony Ericsson and a Nokia with a number pad until like second year of university, and in a way it was kind of nice. It was a much easier life.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's cool. You get ideas from all kinds of places. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to follow up on that project once it comes out. It'd be nice to see.
And Downtown Camera's out of stock on so much stuff. It's so sad.
Yeah. I feel like in the pandemic, it almost seemed like you purchased when you saw their stories, like X film is in stock, and you go online and buy a couple rolls, pick it up. If you're local, send it out.
Yeah.
Kind of seems to be the way to go.
All the color film seems to be what is mostly out of stock.
Yeah.
Which is what I'd kind of like, because I'm sort of out of color film. Yeah. Wah, wah. Privileged people problems, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, dude, man, it's been so great chatting with you. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for a little bit and continue on the chat. Like, it's wild that it's still going. I'm very humbled that people want to hang out with me for an hour or so and bullshit. Fucking Tom, you are the MVP. Thank you for hanging in with us there. If you don't follow Tom Rayugo, at Kodak. Definitely give Tom a follow. He's the greatest of all time for sure. Love that guy so much, and I can't wait to actually hang out with him in person one day and go shoot some stuff. So thank you, Tim. You're the best. I appreciate hanging out, man. Yeah, I'm actually gonna buy a bunch of Kodak because it's been a while since I bought some Kodak. The last time I bought a ton of Kodak was the first price hike they did in like 2019. Tim, did I not say Tim? Oh shit, sorry.
I'm Tom by accident.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Fuck Tim. I am it's been a long day of talking, so my brain is kind of mushy. So I'm gonna give myself this one. No, not that one. This one. Oh, that's what I get for that one. I'm sorry, Tim. Yeah, the last time I bought a bunch of Kodak was like the first price hike, and I just finally shot the last little bit of that. So it's time to buy a bunch more before the next price hike.
All right.
But thanks for hanging out with me, man. It was awesome to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing how your double exposure project goes. I'm excited for that, and I do have sound effects now. I upgraded the chat, and I have like a fancy recorder thingy, so that's why I got the fancy microphone and stuffs, and I got like intro music and outro music. It's like we're a legit thing now. But yeah, man, thank you so much again, and hope everyone stays safe out there. I'm gonna play the outro music while we're doing this. We'll have Mr. Mocha walk us out, and yeah, next week I'm going to have Kate Goss on, photographer from New York, and it should be really exciting to chat with her. Thank you again so much, John. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us and like tuning in every week. I appreciate and love all you guys. I hope you stay safe out there, and just keep doing stuff you have fun with, and just enjoy it. Just don't be dicks to each other. We'll get through this. All right. Thanks, man. All right. Love you guys. All right.
Bye.